Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Voices for Voices TV show and podcast. I'm your host, founder, and executive director of Voices for Voices, Justin Allen Hayes. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for tuning in, whether this is your first episode or you've been with us from the beginning. As you know, we're past the episode 240 mark from in-studio episodes as well as remote episodes, on our way to the big number of 300 total episodes before or by the end of calendar year 2025. And we couldn't do this without your love and support of us, the organization, the guests, and really wanting to help make the world a better place. And as you hear me on just about every show, unless I don't get a chance to say it, we'll have the huge goal of wanting to help 3 billion people over the course of my lifetime and beyond. It's a huge goal. If we get there, I don't know, but I want to have a huge goal, and so that's where we're at. We're just over 7 billion in the world, and so we'll see. But we're well on our way of helping and sharing and helping individuals through hard situations. Giving them tips and ideas of real-world experience from our guests, and we can't thank our guests enough for taking the time out of their days to come into your living rooms or your headset, your headphones, your earbuds, and again, we're global, and so it's just incredible. Over 50 countries, 600 cities. At the beginning, we have this huge goal of wanting to help 3 billion people, and so of course we want to reach as many people across the world as possible. And so here we are, and we value your time as well, our viewers, our listeners, to want to spend any amount of time watching and listening to our episodes. If you're able to, we ask if you're able to like, share, subscribe, our YouTube, Rumble channels, and then from the audio platforms, from Apple Podcasts to Spotify to iHeart. We're over 16 platforms total each episode is on. So we have a little bit of something for everybody. So our previous episode, from our last studio episode, we are filming right now episode, or I guess part 2, with our guest, Mr. Jason Simpson. He is an actor, both in the physical sense and as the voiceover sense. You may know him and his work from Dragon Prince, from My Little Pony, Sausage Party, and those are just some ones that come to mind. But there's a lot he's been involved with. He, as we learned in our first part, he is not only has the actor. He's also a writer. He is a mentor. He just is really a great person, and we're really thankful that he wants to spend any of his time with us and to share his experiences. And we have a mutual friend that really connected us, and it's really due to him that we're able to have Mr. Jason Simpson on, and this is Mr. Jason Simpson's episode, so we're not going to get into kind of that connection, but the connection is great. Individual who coming out, talking about the situation, experiences, and really wanting to be, and is not just wanting to be, a beacon of hope for so many people. And so we want to again thank him, and you'll find out who that is as the year progresses. But let's go to our Zoom guest that's joining us from was that Vancouver, British Columbia?
Yeah.
Mr. Jason Simpson, thank you for joining us for our second episode. We appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Yeah, so we had a really good conversation about the first half of your life, or first section of your life, of how the interest at 10, 11 came to be, watching Transformers, and wanting to do that, and going to film school and shadowing other actors in the studio, putting in the time, learning, making mistakes as we all do, and then we learn from them, and we watch others make mistakes, and then we're kind of get like a little extra learning from that, and then to really see how those mistakes really turned into probably better work that comes from that, of being like, okay, I know that this happened, or whether it's written out or whether it's just kind of filed in our mind. It's just an amazing thing, and anything with film, with learning, with helping others, with teaching is huge. Obviously, with us in our organization, and it's even the same way with you, Jason. So thank you again for joining us, and we maybe can pick up on how you learn about available roles, available projects, because I guess I don't know. Is there an Indeed.com or a Monster.com for it? I don't think there is, but shed a little light onto that.
Sure. I have an agent,
Okay.
and my agent finds all the work for me. So there are websites for folks who don't have agents, who are independent, and they freelance, and they can go get those jobs. My agent, though, has her finger on the pulse of what's happening throughout the city, and gets me those auditions, so I don't actually have to do that work. If I did have to do that work, I would never work, because I'm terrible at that sort of thing. So that's what my agent does for me, and she's very good at her job. So it's not easy getting an agent. I got one right out of school, because one of my instructors who was with my agent said, "You need to see Jason, and I think he'd be a great addition to your roster." And so I was very fortunate to sign on with her 25 years ago, and I'm still there. We have an excellent relationship, and she's one of the tops in the city.
Mm-hmm.
So she gets, like I said, she gets all the big stuff that comes through town, and that is how I get most of my work.
Okay, and I think that's important, in that you were able to get that relationship right out of school, to have that, and then to continue that. And so, like you said, you have that relationship, that familiarity of knowing what you like, and those types of things. So you're not getting calls or messages of things like, oh, like, she should know that I don't
Yes.
like this, or I don't, for whatever that is. And I think that's important.
Well, she will actually. It's sometimes the opposite too. It's sometimes, "I want to do this thing," and she says, "No, you're not going to do that thing, because they don't want to pay you what you're worth, or this thing is not going to go anywhere," because whatever the situation is, she knows better than I do. And we'll have those conversations, but she's very discerning, and she has great wisdom, because she's been in this business a long time. And she's always open feedback. Of course, it's my career, but it's her career as well.
Yeah.
And so there's a great level of trust, and we just balance that out. But for the most part, if she says this is not going to be good for us, and that's rare when that happens, but when it does, I say, okay, no problem. Yeah.
So when those opportunities do come, I say, because I have bad anxiety. I'm just wondering, when you go into an audition, it's probably different now than right out of film school. Do you get nervous, and what type of preparation do you do? Do you just show up and?
Yeah, I suffer from anxiety a great deal as well, and the nerves aren't. I'm terrified nerves. The nerves are. I want to do well.
Yeah.
Excuse me, and I don't think I will. And that's just false. That's just my anxiety saying you're not very good at this, and that's just those are just lies. That's a strong word, but it's been there my whole life. So as an adult, I go, no, I'm actually really good at this. And these people have seen me many times. They know what I'm good at. That's why I'm in this room to audition. But the anxiety is always there. You just have to learn how to, it's not, it's easier said than done.
Yeah.
You just have to learn how to control it and actually shape it for the better, for the performance. Because when you walk into a room to audition in front of a camera, in front of a camera is way different than voice.
Okay.
In front of a camera, I am aware that they see all of me. Okay. And I don't like looking at all of me. And when other people have to look at all of me, that makes me feel very anxious and very stressed out. When it's voice, my confidence is way up here. Totally different feeling. But I've got to, over the years, I've learned how to actually just change that anxiety, or rather fuel my confidence with it. Just the energy has to shift a little bit. And that sounds weird, and I don't know how I do that, but it's something I've learned to figure out, and it's actually helped me in auditions to just have a great deal of confidence going in and coming out. Coming out, it's actually sometimes worse.
Oh.
Going home, oh, I was terrible. They hate me. They'll never see me again. Why am I doing this? I should go work. I should go dig ditches, or So,
yeah.
But that's never the case. It's just that voice in me telling me that that wasn't great, but it was fine. And quite often it was good or great. And I'm just not always, but often telling myself the opposite. And that's just that voice inside me that I think many people suffer from that, but some of us more than others.
Yeah, like you said, it's about shaping that anxiety from being a negative or just being not helpful to being helpful, to use that energy and that anxiety, that energy in that positive way. I know for me with my my history of up until 7 going on 8 years ago, alcohol was a huge part of my life, and so it was anytime anything came up, like I had to drink before it, because I just had these nerves, and I didn't know how to shape them, because I was just constantly looking for the party, and before I got married, looking for somebody to hang out with for the night, or what have you. And I've learned since I've gone the last 7 going 8 years, it's like gone gone sober and on mental health medication, and visit psychiatrists and therapists, of using the energy that I would use of finding out where the party, or what day I'm going to the club, or I'm taking that energy and doing things like this, and so for me it's it is. I mean, I always get nervous. I'm nervous now, but like to the same thing that you're mentioning, that you shape it into something good, and at most of the time it's good, if not great, and so I think that's helpful for people to find what works, and not to be ashamed if that's something, if they need, and I'm speaking from my experience, if they need help, they need to talk to somebody. I didn't want to do it, and you talked about the ego with the industry. You kind of have to leave that. There's no room for that in the industry, and I had to really leave my ego at the door and say, okay, well, I'm going to be taking this medication. I don't know if it's going to be the rest of my life, or 2 years, or 1 year, or 6 months, and I've just seen there's a huge positive movement in my life, and I think with you turning that anxiety of going into audition and turning that into just shaping that, and whether it settles it or what, but it turns out to be an actual, like, a good thing. And so people say, do you drink coffee? Do you? And I said, no, I don't drink coffee. This is like just the energy that I have, and it's fine. They're like, you don't drink coffee, and whatever. And it's interesting though, those conversations that come up. But it's knowing that you're doing something that you're you're good at, otherwise you wouldn't be doing it. And like you said, your agent wouldn't be calling you, and you wouldn't be getting the work and the projects that that you have and that you are, and then they're coming into the future.
That's a really interesting point, if I may.
Yes, please.
I think it's really important, actually, what you just said, that idea that this is the energy that I have. And I think we need to find a comfortability in that and use that, like we've just been talking about, use that, shape that as best we can, because we cannot be someone else that somebody else wants us to be. We are who we are, and we need to maximize and sometimes we need to change it because sometimes it's negative, but can we take that negative and turn it into a positive? And these are all just words, but we put these things into action. And how do we do that? Well, a lot of times it's just personal. It's just a mindset sometimes. Nerves and anxiety can be so crippling. But I think another thing you said is, and to expand on that, dealing with the right people. If we know the people we're working with, or if we know that we can feel safe in a place, like in an audition, if I'm going to audition for people I've been auditioning with for 20 years, 25 years, that's a safe space.
Yeah.
And I know I can be who I want to be, which is just myself. And they expect that from me. They know I'm going to come in and be creative. I'm going to take direction. So I don't have to worry or be anxious. And I think I found that many, many years ago. It's the people who I don't necessarily know that I see here and there, where I go, okay, I've got to put on something. No, I just have to be myself and be the same creative person who's making big choices, taking chances, and listening to them. And that's when that's the real me. The real me is not the anxious guy.
Yeah.
The real me is the guy who is free from that. And it's just not always easy to be that guy, but we've just got to find those. And I think it's embracing, like you said, the energy that I have, and then the people that we work with.
Absolutely. And not to bring another actor's name in, but it was several years ago. There was an interview that I don't know if I watched it or if I read it with Johnny Depp, and he was talking about how when he goes in to play a role, he's able to not be himself. He's able to be that character, but then when he takes himself, out of that role, and he has to sit down for an interview, or and it's not just that's just the one that comes to mind. He's not the only one, but then when he has interviews and different things, they come off as like, wow, like this is him, because they're used to seeing him or her in a certain light, and all of a sudden it's like, well, wait a minute, this isn't who I've seen on the screen, or the voice that I've heard. And so I think it's important where we can feel safe in those spaces. And so that's like one less maybe stressor that we have to even worry about. So we don't have to worry about security or something. We know we're in a safe place. We know that they're going to treat me fairly. They're going to understand where I'm coming from, and they're going to give that direction, and know that you're going to be able to take that in with that audition.
What's interesting is, if I may, I've lived my whole life with just image problem. I've overeaten my whole life, and I eat through my emotions.
I do too.
So that's affected me physically over the years, and I've never liked looking at myself. I don't like other people looking at me. But when I'm on camera, there's that freedom. I'm that character. This is what that character looks like. I am A-okay with that character being seen. That person is. So I do find a little bit of that freedom of becoming the character, and everything just sort of evens out. And I can be that terrible human being on screen, or a regular dude who just looks like this. They yell cut, I'm back to going, I'm going to go hide in the corner. Don't look at me.
Yeah, like I'm gonna turn my phone on or do something, just like
Yeah.
separate for a while.
But there is that division though. Many actors, I'm one of these guys who, when you yell action, I'm in it.
Okay.
I am that character. I'm that person. We do this thing. And I like playing bad guys, and they can be, finger quotes, bad guys.
Mm-hmm.
They can make very horrible decisions and say nasty things and do terrible things. But the moment that it's cut, back to Jason, just doing my thing, just being who I am. I love that separation of actor and character because it does give me this great freedom to be someone completely different who I would never be in real life. But real life me is fine.
Yeah.
It's just fun to play those other people because I do have that sense of freedom to breathe and say, hey, here's my gut. Take a look at it. This character owns this gut. Real Jason goes, ugh, please don't look at my gut.
What's happened recently? What's going on that you want to share, and then maybe some parting words of inspiration for we got about 6-7 minutes left.
That's a good question. I mean, I'm busy working, doing film and television as much as I can, doing voice work as much as I can in video games, cartoons, commercial work. There's nothing there that I can really talk about right now.
Yeah, I don't want you to. Yeah.
But do you feel that work is in this industry right now is tight?
Mm-hmm.
We're dealing with cross-border tension. There's a lot of stuff politically going on that affects everyone in our jobs at some point somehow, and we certainly feel that. We've got industry strikes in the U.S. We've had strikes up here, so things have been impacted for the negative, and we're coming back from that.
Good.
So things are just slow for everybody, but I know this is the only thing I want to do and I love doing. So I try and find the positive. Doesn't always work. I complain lots. I get down on myself lots. I feel sorry for myself a lot. And I just need my wife to say, just snap out of it and let's keep going. But as far as encouragement goes, for anyone who's in my industry or who wants to be in it, keep your nose pointed in the direction you want to go, and just keep hustling. You will find the work. You will get better at what you're doing. And if you're not working, if you're auditioning and you're not booking auditions, we all need to keep working and learning. But for the most part, it's not a you issue. That's the hardest thing to learn as an actor, the rejection. You audition so many times, you don't get anything. It's not because you're terrible. It's because someone else did or said something that the production liked and they hired that person. Maybe I'm 4 inches taller than they needed, or maybe I'm 50 pounds heavier than they wanted. Those are things, well, the one thing I can't change, I'm always going to be taller. I can change that other thing. But then maybe it's, well, now I'm 50 pounds less than somebody else wanted. You never know. So it's quite often you're doing the right thing, you're on the right path. It's just somebody else did something different. So we've just got to be okay with who we are, embrace that, and just get ready to do the work when it comes to us.
Excellent, because you talk about like that confidence. That's where, if we're not confident in ourselves, how are others going to be confident in us? And I know it's easier said than done. But when we look at things we're passionate about, we put in the time, the effort, that whether the role comes in a week or a year or 6 months, and it's life changing. But just being the yourself and myself.
It's interesting though. You're right. It can be life changing, but at the same time, I come home and I've still got to take out the garbage.
I was just going to say, you still.
It is life changing, but don't
It's
You
not,
can't
yeah, it's
let
all
it.
around.
Yeah, life still goes on, and that's the beautiful thing about it, right? It's we're not elevated to this next level and we stay there. It's
Right.
no, we had a great moment,
Mm,
and that might last a while, but underneath it is the important stuff.
yeah.
It's my family and the life we're building, and that thing just happens to be a lovely moment in time. But always stay focused on what's really important.
And so I gather that the work that you do, obviously it's important, but it's important to stay within yourself and not step
Oh yeah.
too much out where you may garner interest for this other type of a role, and it's like, well, wait a minute, like I want to. This is where I'd like to be. This is more my lane or lanes, and I did this really well. Now things are going over here, and how do I handle that?
I will always embrace the work wherever it takes me. If it's something elevated, I get something bigger because of work I did. People like what I did and they hire me. I'm always going to be very appreciative of that. It's very humbling. I always want to stay humble
Yeah.
because I've seen some lovely success, and I've seen how that affects other people
Mm-hmm.
in my life for the positive. And not and people I don't know, people who
Mm-hmm.
love the work I've done, and I get to meet those people and the fan base, let's say, and it's very, very, very humbling. I'm so grateful for that. But at the same time, I then get to go home to my wife, my children, and just this grounded. And Mike, that's there whether I have a rainy season of just great growth or I have this dry, desert, arid season of there's no work. There's nothing. There's no people saying, "You're awesome. We love you."
Mm-hmm.
That it's what's important is my family is still there, and that keeps me sane and grounded.
Excellent. Well, we're at the end of our time for our second episode. Is there anything else that you'd like to share, or it's your branding moment? If you,
Well, not my branding so much as I just think we have not known each other very long,
mm,
but I think you're such a positive,
oh,
driven person you are so eager to help others and
oh,
to me it sounds like
mm,
help others find where they can impact other people and also just find themselves in a positive way. So
mm,
it's really impressive. I'm just really impressed
oh,
by that, and many blessings to you, my friend, because I think you're doing something quite lovely, and people can just listen and hopefully find great positivity in their own life and their own what they're going after in life.
no, thank you very much.
Yeah,
That means a lot.
yeah,
And thank you for joining us for two shows. We're just very humbled to have you just impart your wisdom and
that's my
experiences.
pleasure.
And we'll definitely stay in contact, and hopefully
Yeah,
we'll be able to meet someday
yes,
and do that. So thank you again, Mr. Jason Simpson, for joining
my
us.
pleasure. Thank you.
You're welcome. And thank you, our listeners, our viewers. We've just had an incredible interview with Mr. Jason Simpson. Go back to the previous episode in the order, and you'll find part one of our conversation. And it's just it's just a real blessing to have an individual that's so caring and genuine and sharing their experience to help others. And we thank him for that, and we thank you for watching and listening. So until our next episode, I want you to tune into Please Be a Voice for You or Somebody in Need.